you can do things like this and just not die. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. Like literally, you can just go in a room and just spam all this and not take a single bit of damage. Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Rest. In today's video, I wanted to go over a build for Amara that is all around radiation. Most recent patch, they actually changed the way elemental projectiles stack now. So if you have a bunch of different elements, you don't basically get a million different projectiles anymore, kind of like you did before, which made Amara super strong. But after that change, we can now kind of focus on just one element and still do very well on her. Now, radiation is probably my favorite element in the game, so that's the reason I want to make this build. And as I think radiation is also a lot of other people's favorite element, it's just super fun with the explosions, and it's also a neutral element, which means it's really good against shields and health bars. The only thing it's really bad against is armor, but even then you can still kind of work it out. My builds are located in my Discord channel if you'd like to download them. The link to the Discord will be in the description. If you download the build, enjoy the video, find it helpful in any way, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps me out and I truly appreciate it. But with all that being said, let's get right into this radioactive build. All right, so starting off, as you see, we have our very radioactive theme going on over here, our little rad trooper build. But as you see, we have all radiation stuff on our gear. Now, the first piece of gear I'm going to be running is the light show with the radiation on it. With our axe skill, the next two magazines have 100% bonus radiation damage. This anointment is really good, obviously, because having 100% more damage on the theme of the build is going to make what already is strong even stronger. And for having that magazine, we're actually going to have a lot of perks and gear benefiting our magazine size, so we can have that 100% damage pretty much indefinitely while we have the weapon out. Then we have a monarch right here, again radiation, where the axe skill and the next magazines have 100% bonus radiation damage. This is a Tom 8 variant. This is essentially a better light show. The light show is really good. The monarch just does a lot more damage, but you have to be standing still with the bipod out. The light show is a movable monarch that puts out good damage. You can actually move with it, so you can go in between those, and whatever you're going up against is just going to either get melted or you can just fly through stuff really quick. But now, going into the next weapon, the globetrotter. This is a really good rocket launcher for this build. If you don't know what this does, essentially it's going to shoot out these blades that when it contacts an enemy, they're going to hit and keep bouncing up and down and do a lot of damage. As you see, we have 100% bonus radiation damage, which is again really good for this, because this basically does not have a magazine, so you pretty much have this at all times. You just have to worry about your cooldown not overheating. That's not too hard to do unless you're literally just spamming it, and if you're just playing cautious, you're always going to have this annoying proc. Then I have a complex root right here. Complex root is insanely good. It's not as good as it was with the changes to the elements, but it's still really good. As you see, on accident, the next two magazines have 100% bonus radiation damage. This is your longer range weapon, obviously, since it's a sniper rifle. The light show is your mobile weapon. Monarch is your close range, do a lot of damage weapon, and globetrotter, pretty much anything. It can do long range, close range, medium range. But now we have a red suit right here, and if you don't know what the red suit does, basically this makes you 100% immune to radiation. It's kind of like the transformer, but it doesn't heal you like the transformer does. Instead, it just makes you completely immune, health bar and shields. You never take radiation damage, and plus this also makes a radiation aura around you that also does radiation damage, which is not bad. Also, on this one, I have you return 7,041 radiation damage if melee while shielded. So basically, getting close to an enemy, they're going to take damage, plus it makes you completely resistant. Now, obviously, having a radiation theme build, especially with splash damage, the red suit is going to make it insanely good. So I'm going to be running a recurring hex, and the anointment, whereas on axial start, you generate one grenade. You can do things like this and just not die. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. Like literally, you can just go in a room and just spam all this and not take a single bit of damage. So with that being said, in any boss room, you can just do that and basically insta kill a boss, and it is super fun. Now, as you see, I also have anoint my red suit where I get 50% bonus radiation damage after we use our axe skill, plus we regenerate a grenade, like I just said, which is going to pair really well with this build, because I think we can do with the hex, if we weren't already applied with radiation, you can actually use the hex to keep applying radiation to you, and when you use your action skill, you regenerate your grenade. And we're going to be using our action skill a lot to help proc some of our other stuff too. And speaking of using our action skill a lot, we're going to be running a phase zerker with plus 5 points in anima, and we get 29% weapon damage, 20% magazine size, 36% action skill cooldown rate. This is going to be really good to help getting your action skill back, plus having your damage magazine size. It's going to help out with all your weapons to help these anoints not go away, plus the more damage, it's going to let them do more damage. Then in the artifact, we have a elemental projector, which is why we need to apply radiation to ourselves, because this this is going to give us 108% more radiation damage since we have radiation applied to us. Plus, every time you kill an enemy, it restores 21% of your max health after you kill them. And this is also going to be 43% area effect damage, 54% magazine size, and 21% more radiation damage. Obviously, the magazine size is really good. We're going to help keep the annoyance up longer, and radiation damage is good. Area effect damage is also good. So just in the gear right here, all this combined, obviously we're using the hex to apply a radiation dot to us, which is going to give us 108% more damage. The dot we're not going to take damage from because of the red suit, and having 5 extra points in Anima right here is going to let you that dot last longer, so you can keep doing a ton of damage. So this gear right here alone lets everything synergize so well and just doing the same amount of damage. Now, since you're going to be spamming a lot with the guns, eat up ammo. The light show doesn't really eat much ammo. The complex route you can work around, but these two right here are going to consume your ammo like crazy. I'm also including a cut burst launch pad. So basically, this gives you ammo regeneration when you melee an enemy, and the slam launches a barrage of homing rockets. Those rockets actually do proc your melee, and you get ammo from it. So you can definitely swap to this whenever you need to. Now, going to the skills, as I already said, I'm taking 5 points to Anima. This is going to make that status effect duration last 200% longer, so we're gonna have that dot on us for an insane time, and we can always do an insane amount of damage. Then I have 3 points of steady hand, so we get more handling and accuracy, which is really good for something like the light show, so we can move around and just be snappy. 5 points of tempest, so we get 30% bonus elemental damage. This is gonna be really good. We're getting 30% more radiation damage. 1 point illuminated fist because I had 1 extra point, and since melees do scale to Mayhem 10 now, this can be fun. If you get a shield off and you want to go melee enemy, since we're gonna be running the soul fire axe skill element, you can just bop an enemy real quick and kill them. 2 points of wildfire, which actually is pretty good for this build because you want to keep spreading the radiation to apply to as many enemies as possible, so you can just start chain reactions, which is really easy to do. And plus, you have to get down to the bottom, and you definitely want to put it in here. The reason you don't want to put in infusion, obviously, because they kind of nerfed it in a way, and having infusion is going to make your guns do a little bit of incendiary damage, which is going to immediately kill you with all the radiation damage you're going to be doing. Then I have 1 point in dread, so we get 15% more damage after we phase grasp an enemy, and our guns are reloaded. This is another thing where we're going to help out with our magazine size. And real quick before I get into that, 1 point deep well, so we get 20% more magazine size for our elemental weapons. So between deep well, our gear right here giving us more magazine size, we have an insane magazine size. As you see, the light show is a 28, but we have a 56 mag. Dread right here is going to let you, when you phase grasp an enemy and kill it, the gun's going to immediately be reloaded. So it's going to keep reprocking this annoying over and over again, and you will always have that 100% damage. 3 points in indiscriminate, so we can have all our bullets ricochet, which is really nice for ad clear. And then 5 points is sustainment, so whenever we do elemental gun damage, we get 20% of that back as life. When you actually use this to hurt yourself and hurting other enemies, you're always going to have life still. You're never going to die. Like, literally, you are just indestructible if you're doing this. It's actually kind of ridiculous with sustainment proccing and just being immune to radiation. And it is super fun, let me tell you. For the active skill, we're obviously going to be running Ties to Bind. And the reason we're going to be running that is because now Do Harm does work with Ties to Bind, which is going to let you just have an insane amount of damage to your linked targets. This is going to be very easy to keep proccing with Phase Zerker. You can get a ton of rush stacks, which is in return going to give you an insane amount of damage to your chain targets. But then I have 1 point in Violent Tapestry to help keep the rush stacks up, and you have to get down to the bottom. 3 points of Fast Hand, so reload speed, weapon swap speed, motion speed. All those are really good. The motion speed is going to be really good for taking your bipod in and out. 5 points in alacrity, so we get a lot more reload speed based on our rush stacks, because you want that reload speed to keep staying in the fight. And if you ever need to reproc your anoint, you can reload the gun really quick. 3 points in transcendent to get 38% more accuracy and 27% more critical hit damage when we use our axe skill. Again, another very good skill for Amara, and you pretty much should always take this. We're not putting any points of restless because we don't really need to with all the cooldown rate we're going to be having. 1 point in ascendant, and we're going to be running soul sap so we can get a lot more lifesteal back and be super tanky. And running soul sap with Ties Bind is actually not going to reduce your damage with something like Allure, Still, and Sublime. But then 3 points in from rest, so we get 12% more fire rate and 44% more charge speed. Charge speed is really good for something like the complex root. The fire rate's good for all the weapons, so we can just spam. 3 points in wrath, so we get 20% more damage and 20% more after we pop an action skill, which is also really good. If you want to take 3 points out of this and put it in late bear, you totally can do that, just depending on what you're going against. Late bear is going to make your linked targets do a lot more damage. This is just going to let you do a good amount more damage all the time, so whichever one you prefer. 1 point in remnant, so we can get an overkill orb to spawn, and the overkill orb is just going to do an absurd amount of damage. 3 points in awakening, so we can buff our rust stacks to make Do Harm do even more damage. And then 1 point in avatar, so we get 10 more rust stacks, and we can pop back skill twice for cooldown, which is going to let us just add clear an insane amount. And finally, in the last good tree, they updated this to actually have the right amount of damage on here. So now with 3 points, we're actually getting a bonus up to 54% of our damage dealt the closer we are to an enemy. So that is it for this build. If you want a very consistent, just radiation themed build for Amara, this is definitely the one for you. It is insanely fun. The light show Amara tear through enemies. The Globetrotter is just an insane fun gun to use, especially with the red suit, and the complex route is good for longer ranges. The whole theme of this build is to basically damage yourself to heal yourself. I know that sounds weird, but you're basically damage yourself to get damage bonuses and then healing yourself through all your skills and gear. But like I said in the beginning of the video, my builds are located in my Discord channel if you'd like to download them. The link to Discord will be in the description. If you download the build, enjoy the video, find it helpful in any way, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps me out and I truly appreciate it. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.